Mr. Minnick helping my students with a variation of the Chatbot project. In this version of the Chatbot project, I have a function called getResponse. That's where all the main stuff happens. When the user says the word basketball, this else if clause, that's part of this larger if, else if, else if, else if, else if, else if statement. This one clause detects if the user typed the word basketball, and I want to make sure that it handles misspellings of the word basketball. So here's how you might want to do that. Right here before the and, before you check to see what level you're at of the basketball conversation dialogue, you'll want to put in here an or. So when you type the word or, it's tempting to just put the word basketball, perhaps with like 3 B's there, if that's a predictable misspelling, which it's not really, but let's pretend it is. Well, that's not going to work because that's not a complete true-false Boolean expression. That simplifies to either true or false, like this over here did. So basically what you got to do is repeat or just copy and paste all of this in blue. So I'll do that, copy, and right here after the word or, I'm going to space it out extra so you can see this. That's where you paste a whole Boolean expression, but that's where you put the extra L in. Or perhaps that's where you would put a capital B. Or that's where you would put some other like I before E except after C variation. Now, on a later day, we'll argue if you can even handle all the possible misspellings. But this is just a 9th grade intro course, and there are ways to handle that for future projects that we do later this school year. For now, I just want 1 or 2 misspellings or synonyms. Some people, instead of calling it basketball, they might call it b-ball. I don't know. So I'm just going to put basketball in here with 3 L's. Now notice that I added dot lower here. That changes whatever the user inputs that's currently stored in the variable name statement. Dot lower changes it to lowercase. That means that even if they typed in a capital B, it's already been lowercased behind the scenes, which means this is even more user-friendly. So do not put a capital B here, because then this will never be true. Keep it lowercase, but then we have to use the built-in string find method. And find, of course, returns a -1 if it doesn't find what it's looking for. But in the reverse logic kind of way, we have not equal to -1 here, meaning we did find basketball with 3 L's, which means we are counting that as the keyword basketball. Okay, this should work. Let's test it. I'm going to shrink up the extra blank spaces that I have because that's just annoying me. Oh, because the order of operations is such that and executes kind of like multiplication before or, which is kind of like addition, it's very important that you add an extra set of parentheses around these misspellings. So with an extra left parenthesis right here, please pay attention in this video because this is the important part. With an extra left parenthesis here and a matching right parenthesis after that -1, this chunk, which is basically the stuff around the or, must be done according to order of operations first, so that basketball spelled correctly and basketball spelled with 3 L's is being checked for first before the computer checks to see if we are at the first level of our basketball conversation dialogue. If you don't add these extra parentheses, it might look good, and it might work in some cases, but it won't work all the time dependably. So now I'm testing this chatbot, and here goes. I'm running it to see if basketball with 3 L's does take us to the second level of our conversation. Everybody's being quiet in my classroom right now where I'm recording this. And here goes. Enter a statement, the chatbot says. I'm just going to cut right to the chase and say, I like basketball. Oh, do you prefer pro or college? It worked, but I knew it would work because that was original spelling. So now let's re-execute it with basketball with 3 L's. I'm carefully testing this to see if it works, and now for some reason I have an error message because I put an extra letter in there. Here goes. This time I'm going to say I like basketball with 3 L's. And yes, it worked correctly, taking me to the next level of my dialogue. If I type it with 4 L's, if I stop the program and re-execute it here, but this time misspell basketball in some other way, like 2 S's, let's just say, it's not going to work. This is one of my random responses. So basketball with 2 S's is pretty much as foreign and alien as rugby or any other word. So at least this gets me an A in this 9th grade course by having a couple examples of keywords. In recap, you got to make sure that you put your, because I'm using the dot lower method, which is good style for better variation of this. I just lost where I was. Because I'm using dot lower, in summary, you've got to make sure that it's all in lowercase here, and that you have this extra set of parentheses. There's nothing stopping somebody with the initials ZZ from coming in here, and as far as the eye can see, even with a telescope, we can copy and paste this chunk and put it here and put yet another misspelled variation of basketball and paste in another variation. As far as we can scroll right, as long as we're to the left of that extra parenthesis and adding the word or each time, we can throw in a lot of extra misspelled or even put in other sports and combine it with a wider set of keywords. Good luck with that, and I hope to see some sophisticated natural language chatbots when I grade them before the grades are due by the end of this quarter.